This is the first lesson in the Introduction to HTML unit for Year 7. Now we're going to have a look to see what HTML is, understand what HTML tags are, and learn how to use HTML to write a basic web page with a range of different formatting. Now what is HTML? Well, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and it is a language that's used to write websites. Now if we were to have a look at a website, for example The Independent, and we were to open it up in Google Chrome, and we were to right click and view the page source, we would start seeing the code that is in the background that's used to generate the web page. Now it looks pretty horrible, but it's really very simple indeed. Now HTML is made up of a pair of tags, and what the tags do is they tell the browser, so Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge, any program that allows you to view web pages and websites, it tells the browser how some text or images are to be arranged and structured on a web page. And different tags do different jobs. So this, for example, this H1 tag that surrounds some text, this is the title, is used to turn that text into a heading. So without the tags, the browser would read this is the title as just normal text, and it wouldn't format it in any particular way. But putting H1 tags around it will turn this text big and bold so that it becomes a heading on the page. Now where you have pairs of tags, it's important that you remember that in the closing tag you have a /, so never forget that. Okay, let's take a look now at creating a web page in HTML. Now on the left you can see that we've got some HTML code. We've got our opening HTML tag and our closing HTML tag, and we've also got head tags opening and closing and body tags opening and closing. Now the HTML tags just inform the browser that what is going to be between the HTML tags will be some HTML code. Now we don't need to worry too much about the head tags here. This is usually where background information goes for the browser. But if we want to write some content for our web page, that goes between the body tags. So if I was to begin by writing something like this is my page title, and I was to run that code, you can see that that text now appears on my web page. This is a little emulator for a web page, so everything that I see here would be how it would look on a web page. Now that's not really a heading, that's just some normal text in the top left hand corner. So if I now put around it some heading tags, H1 is the largest, all the way down to H6, which is much smaller. If I was to run that now, you can see that text is now big and bold. Now I've got some other tags that I could use. I could put a center tag, an opening one and a closing one around that text, and that would center the title in the middle of the page. I could also put a U tag around my text, and that would underline it. So there's a few tags that I can use to start to tell the browser how to format my text. Now there are lots of other tags we can use. We could use an HR tag, that's a horizontal rule. Now that doesn't come with a closing tag, that's just one tag on its own, but that puts a horizontal rule across the page. I could also add another heading, but maybe a smaller one. This is a subheading, like so, and I could close my heading H3 tags, and I could run that code, and you can see that I've now got a smaller heading underneath. And I could then start writing some normal text, and I could put that in a paragraph tag, and I could say this is the introduction to my web page, and that would then be some text which you see underneath the subheading. Now if I wanted to put things on a new line, I could use a BR tag which breaks onto a new line, and now if I were to write another paragraph tag and some text between those paragraph tags, for example, this is another line, you'll see that that line has broken underneath the previous. Now, other things I could do, if you consider the body tags to be the page itself, I could put in a property called BG color, and I could perhaps put in the color aqua. And what that will do is change the background color of the web page. So there's lots of things that we can do to build our web pages, lots of tags we can use to format text, and we can add images and do lots of other things as well, which we will learn over the next few lessons. But this is just a very quick basic introduction. And if there's anything that you have to remember, that would be to make sure that if you have got pairs of tags, that you surround the text with those tags that you want to format, and you make sure that in your closing tag you put in a /. I suppose other things is just notice the way that I've structured my code. I've indented from the side every time I've gone inside a tag, just so that it's easier to read. And there's nothing wrong with you improving the readability even further by adding some space between each of the bits of code that you've added onto the page. Just makes things much easier to read and therefore much less likely to make mistakes, or if there is some debugging you have to do, it is easier to find those errors. Okay, so hopefully you've got a better understanding now of what HTML is and how it can be used to begin to build web pages.